Okay, so today I'm in the Rivian R1T and I'm coming from Oklahoma back to the Dallas-Fort Worth area. I was just across the state line. Actually, I was in Thackerville, Oklahoma. For those that know what that is or where I was, you can probably guess. Ran up there for lunch to Thackerville, Oklahoma. Anyway, we're riding along. You'll see 1.87 miles per kilowatt hour because we are rolling at highway speeds. And we are 29 miles, 39 minutes, and it just started preparing the battery for fast charging. We are going to the EVgo in Highland Village, Texas. It's at a Whole Foods, and it's three 350 kilowatt chargers. Each charger has two handles. They'll charge at split 175. We're going to see what kind of speeds we can get plugging in at 39%. We're just going to charge for 10 or 15 minutes and then go home. We do have level 2 charging at home, but because of traffic routing, I have to go by this Whole Foods anyway. Some type of accident on the highway or something. So it's driving me by there. So I said, you know what? Why don't I stop and throw some juice in and see what kind of charging speeds I can get out of this Rivian. Now, this Rivian's a 2022 quad motor R1T with the large pack. I can get around, I want to say 337 miles, 350 miles in conserve, closer to 360. This thing does amazing overall on road trips. It doesn't have a heat pump system, so in the winter, it does lose quite a bit of range in really freezing temperatures. But in the warmer weather, and today it's 81 degrees, you can see it's 1:39 p.m. It's early September in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Sorry about the windshield, lots of bugs all over it. Anyway, so here's my driving perspective. Now keep in mind, as I've told you in a lot of videos, I'm about 6'6" tall and about 325 pounds. I'm a big guy, and I've got plenty of room in this thing. Very comfortable. Love the Rivians. And I'm actually considering adding an extra vehicle to our current vehicles. We have 3 right now between my wife and I. We've got a 2022 Rivian R1T, a Tesla dual motor all-wheel drive Cybertruck, and a 2026 Tesla Model Y Juniper. And yes, it's a 2026. It's the new model year, and you can tell that by the VIN number. That's an amazing vehicle as well. Really enjoy all of them. Looking to add a 4th vehicle because I keep one of the vehicles at another state, and they bounce around from time to time. I travel extensively. We've got multiple places we stay, and we keep vehicles sometimes all over the country. So I typically need at least 3, if not 4 vehicles. And I do have a couple of gas vehicles I use as well. A Ram pickup and a Lexus RX 350H. Actually a pretty nice Lexus, fairly new. And a pretty nice Ram pickup, fairly new. So I enjoy driving. I drive 50 to 75,000 miles a year. And really the purpose of this today is to see what kind of charging speeds we can get out of this Rivian R1T. You know, this thing's 3 years old. It's got 30+ thousand miles on it, about 31,000 miles, and it still drives and handles just like new. We're very, very happy with it, and we'll kind of see how it does here today as we navigate to and test out the charging. I'm expecting to drive with around 39% on the battery, with about 128 miles of range left. I am running in all-purpose mode, not conserve. Conserve mode basically is like running in front-wheel drive. The problem with it is you'll prematurely wear out your front tires. So I recommend running in all-purpose when you can. If you're on a long road trip and need the extra range, conserve does get you some extra range. There are some advantages for sure. You can see we're about to go into a pretty bad traffic backup here, and we're going to be exiting off at this exit coming up in a little over a mile. But we're just going to have to deal with this traffic here in the meantime. So, overall, purpose is to see, can we get 200+ kilowatts? How long will it hold a fast charging rate? We're not going to sit there long. I anticipate sitting there 10 to 15 minutes. I'm just really testing charging today to see how it does at these EVgo chargers. These chargers have been very reliable for me. The charging port on the Rivian's in the front left. I wish it was in the front right. I like it in the front in case you tow anything. You don't have to unhook. You can just pull into a charger, depending on the charger configuration. The problem is it needs to be on the front right for the Tesla superchargers. The superchargers generally have shorter cables, and you can charge a Rivian at most Tesla superchargers, but it's on the wrong side. The cables won't reach. You end up having to block 2 stalls. Tesla has committed to installing longer charging cables on all their version 3s, which will correct this long term. But in the meantime, it would just be nice if the charging port was either in the back left, which is the driver's side left, which is where Tesla is, or the front right. And on a pickup or SUV or a vehicle that tows, it really should be in the front right. And hopefully manufacturers get with that program, because Tesla's network in the US is by far the best charging network you can use. There's some up-and-comers though. Iona's building out a network. Walmart's building out an incredible network. There's some really good charging networks coming soon. But in the meantime, if we're relying on Tesla a lot, which we do, charging ports need to be on the correct side. It does look like the future Rivian vehicles, it looks like the R2 platform will have the charging port in the front right, which would be a smart move. So we'll see what happens. Anyway, I'll update you here as we get to this Whole Foods EVgo charger. We're not far away. We've just got to jump off this exit in 0.8 of a mile, trying to fight through some of this traffic to get to the exit and head down the road. So I will keep you updated here as we go. Okay, so here's another update. We are still riding along, 1:52 p.m. Shows arriving to the Whole Foods at 2:19. We are off the interstate. There was a major accident, major traffic. You saw me getting into that traffic, and we got off the exit, got around it, and we're about to get back on the interstate where it looks like things are moving along pretty well. So should not have an issue. Battery is still preconditioning for fast charging, which is good, which would mean it's warming up the battery pack to get to the right temperature for proper fast charging. So if I click here on my drive mode settings, you will see battery temp is now 86 degrees, and that's right over here. So we can update that as we get closer. Let's see what it heats it up to. Batteries generally like to be pretty warm, 95, 100 degrees, about the same as us, around 98 degrees, in order to accept proper fast charging. It's just kind of the way batteries work. So if they're too hot, they need cooled down, and if they're too cold, they need heated up. And that's what it's doing right now, is it's heating it up, because that battery pack was sitting at around 70 degrees, and now it's up to 86, which will allow it to really charge much more quickly. So we're just about to jump back on the interstate. 35 south. Maybe on 35E. As you get on the north side of Dallas-Fort Worth, 35 splits to 35E around the east side of Dallas and 35W around the west side of Fort Worth. They kind of go through Dallas and Fort Worth respectively. But then when you get south of town, south of the Metroplex, they come back together into 35. It's interesting how the interstate splits. Anyway, let me get going. We'll get back up to highway speed and ride along and enjoy the drive. We will be here to the charger in just a few minutes. I'll be back with you shortly. Okay, here's a bit of a trip update. By the way, love the turn signal cam. That's new from a recent software update in the last, year or so. Rivian's added so much functionality, including the Google navigation, which is so much better than the old native nav. I'm very, very happy with that. We're getting off exit 462 here, coming up in 1 mile. Let me show you my front view while I switch and we check out our battery temp. So it has cooled down, so it's actually cooling it so it doesn't overheat. It's interesting, the Rivian has overheating problems generally, so they have an aggressive cooling strategy going into fast charging, which will make sure that the battery can hold a faster state of charge longer, so that it just doesn't overheat. So it's cooling the pack aggressively as I'm getting closer to the charger. I find that really interesting. Used to be when the battery was 67 degrees, it would heat it up, and but then it would only charge at a high state of charge for a little bit, or a high charging rate for a little bit, and then it would drop. So I'm guessing I'm going to get better charging performance with this updated software. And I've got the latest version of the Rivian software as of early September 2025. And let's jump over a lane. Here we go. Here's one of the many Buc-ee's. This is the Buc-ee's in Denton, Texas. Massive, massive place. They do have charging right there. They have Mercedes charging and Tesla superchargers as well. The Mercedes chargers are right there. And the Tesla superchargers are back in the corner. So you can see multiple charging options. If I click right here, you've got the Mercedes network, and then you have the Tesla network. But we're not going there. We're just going to head right down the road here, about 9 miles away. We're going to the Whole Foods in Highland Village. Got a nice looking Genesis GV70 in front of me. Texas Edition Suburban. There's a lot of Texas Edition vehicles here in the state of Texas. You can see the reflection of the Rivian lights on the back of that Genesis, right under the Genesis logo. 2.04 miles per kilowatt hour. You can see when I was off the highway, back on the highway, now getting off. It's crazy how the efficiency changes. Let's take a look at the total miles on this vehicle. I mentioned it before, but I have to flip to trip B right here. 31,218 miles. So really, really low mileage for a 3-year-old vehicle. About 10,000 mile a year average. About 5,000 lower than the overall person average, which, you know, most people average about 15,000 miles a year. So this has been on quite a few road trips, though. If you watch the other videos, you'll see some extensive Rivian road trips. We're going to turn right up here. Let's recenter our map. Oops, clicked the wrong button. There we go. Turning right up here on State School Road. So my daughter went to college at UNT, and I used to be in this area all the time visiting her. She had an apartment not far from here. I had 2 different apartments over the years that she went to UNT and ended up graduating from there. But needless to say, I've been in this road many, many times. Let's go ahead and flip back to Trip A, which I had used for a recent road trip and to measure consumption. But by the way, you saw lifetime on the Rivian, 2.38 miles per kilowatt hour. In the last 315 miles, 2.19. A lot of highway miles in that last little group. Just for reference, this vehicle's maybe 50-50 versus my others. When I say 50-50, meaning highway versus city, my other vehicles are predominantly highway miles. Probably 80 to 90% highway miles. So pretty big difference. So that does help the Rivian's numbers look better. Honestly, my Cybertruck is way more efficient than the Rivian, but there's things I like about both of them. The Rivian is just such a solid, well-built, well-purposed. It's the right size, fits easily into a garage, has all the utility of most pickups. So really a wonderful vehicle. Love the R1T, and the R1S is pretty nice too. Anyway, there's our Chevy Volt right beside me. We'll be there in just a few minutes. I'll pop back with you, and anxious to see how good the charging is. We're down to 77 degrees on the battery. That's kind of crazy. So, okay, I'll report back shortly. Okay, we're just a couple minutes away now from the Whole Foods in Highland Village, Texas. We're headed to this EVgo charger. And let's take a look at our efficiency for the last 15 minutes. with mixed driving, 2.55 miles per kilowatt hour. See it there in the bottom left by the energy graph on the driver display? Anyway, we're 1.5 miles out, going to arrive with around 39%. We're sitting at 40% on the battery, which is indicated in the bottom right of the screen. And it shows 128 miles remaining range. It says we're going to get there with 126 and 39%. So that's about right. And let's see how quickly we can charge. I've got it set to charge to 85%. We're not going to sit the entire time to charge to 85, but maybe we'll charge to 60 or 70. I've got to run into Whole Foods and take care of a couple things, so that'll take a few minutes. I'm guessing we'll sit, 10 to 15 minutes and then unplug and head towards our house, and we'll use the level 2 charging to finish topping up. But it'll be interesting to see what kinds of speeds we can get when I plug in at the ramp up, and then also when I come back out of the store, what does that look like? So let's get there. Let's get plugged in and let's find out. Hopefully we don't have to split power, but it is a Sunday at 2:15 in the afternoon. It's pretty busy. It's likely that some of those chargers are full. Even so, it may limit my charging a little on the front end, because this will go, I think the most I've ever seen is 218 kilowatts. I can't remember, a Tesla charger or Electrify America, EVgo, whatever. But I've seen in that 214 to 218, that's about the max. Just for a little bit, it'll hold over 200, and then it drops. So, yeah, I would lose a little plugging in and splitting power, but it won't be too bad. Anyway, it shows 4 of 6 stalls available. We'll see if that's accurate. It usually is pretty close to accurate. You'll see that on the Rivian nav. And we're just about to pull in here in just a second. Just next entrance right up here on the right where this Mercedes is going. Super busy here, as you can see. And look at that, every charger is full. So the best laid plans, one on the end. We'll see if I can get plugged into it. And we'll see if I can make the charging cable reach. I'm gonna have to encroach a little into the middle of the parking lines. Just back up just a little bit. That should work. Okay, let me go ahead and get plugged in. We've got a Chevy Bolt beside us, which will only pull about 50 kilowatts, but it doesn't do dynamic power sharing, I don't believe. So I don't believe it'll split dynamically. In other words, I don't think I'll get above 175. Open the DC charging flap and got plugged in. Over there's a power cabinet. You could hear it thumping. Let's flip to the energy graph. There was one car sitting there icing a charger, and it was a EV blocking a charger, which is ridiculous. It was one of the Chevy Bolts, was not plugged in. It'll show our charging speed here. It'll also show it in the driver display right down here. We're ramping right up. Up to 143, 148. And again, unfortunately, we will not get full power. I was hoping to see what we could get full speed, but the chargers are mostly full. So looks like we're at a level out around 148. We can't get maximum power with the bolt plugged in beside us, but regardless, we are getting all the system will give us. And I'm guessing there's some power limitations by all the cars plugged in too. Either way, I'll check back with you here in a few minutes. It says it's going to take 35 minutes to fill up to 85%. We're not going to do that, but we are going to let it charge for a little bit, already up to 40%. And you'll see we've already gotten 2 kilowatt hours of energy. So let me report back here shortly, and you'll see how many minutes up here in the top right. We'll see how long we go into Whole Foods and what happens. I'll be back with you shortly. By the way, the Bolt's at 99%, pulling 18 kilowatts. So he is sitting here blocking a charger. He was asleep, it looked like, in the car, which is fine. It's his prerogative. But he's almost 100%. So he may unplug here in just a second. Looks like he's about to jump out of his car. So I'm going to wait a second and see if he jumps out and if we can get max power. I think he's waiting for the full 100%. I don't know if you can see that on the display, but let me zoom in for you. Right there's your Bolt on the right, and the Rivian on the left. And again, it's just holding solid at 147. He unplugs, we'll jump right up, but let's kind of see what happens. He's waiting for a complete charge. So I'm just going to sit here and wait for a minute. What should happen when he unplugs, we should get more power then, depending on our state of charge. But we are charging station limited right now. It should pop up somewhere in the display and tell you that, like it does in my Cybertruck. Unfortunately, it does not. They have gotten better. They will put some display messages down here talking about power limits and stuff. But yeah, he's at 100% now, so he's getting unplugged. We're up to 42%, and he just hit stop. And let's see if we ramp up. And here we go, jumping right up quickly. 170, which is about where I would expect it to be, because now we're up to 43%. We've been charging for a little bit, but looks like, yeah, he was charging there for 75 minutes and he took on 40 kilowatt hours of energy, if you can see that. And yeah, we're sitting at 170 now, right on the money, 171. Let's see if it climbs any more. Looks like it's going to hold right around 170, which, you know, I would be happy with that. Much better than the 140. So I'm going to go ahead and go inside, run my errands, and I'll be back with you in just a few minutes. Okay, I'm just unplugging now. We're at 64%, been charging for 15 minutes, pulled in at 39, got up to 64. It did peak up to almost 190 kilowatts right after I left the car. So I saw it got up to 187, 188. There you go. It actually got up to 213 kilowatts at 46%. And then it's been tapering down ever since. Still charging 118 kilowatts, 20 minutes left to get to 85. We're good to go. Let me hit stop charging, and I'm going to get out of here. Let's take a look at the screen on the charger. Thanks for following along. And that is a quick charging session at the EVgo in Highland Village, Texas. Still says processing over here. Let's get the DC flap back in place. Close the charging port. Love that. And there we go. We took on 39 kilowatts in 15 minutes. Almost the same amount of kilowatts that Chevy Bolt took on in an hour. What was it, 115 minutes or 75 minutes? Whatever, you saw it. And we did it in just that short period of time. Anyway, love the Rivian. It would have been faster if the Bolt would not have been there. We've got an Audi e-tron beside us charging now, but doesn't matter. So, because we were already below that 150. Anyway, thanks for following along. Until the next one, be safe. And by the way, if you enjoy this real world EV road tripping charging content, click like, click subscribe. Shoot me a comment, positive, negative, or otherwise. And if you need a referral code for a Rivian, a Tesla, check the description of my video, as well as a ton of different product links. Have a great day, everyone. Take care. Bye-bye. Anyway, like I was mentioning, if you enjoy the real world content, you know what to do, and check the description of the video. I had to get the car loaded. I was kind of rushing out of there, so a little short on breath, but we did get up, according to the car, to 68%. We're at 65% now. All in all, good charging session. You know, we're there 15 minutes. You can see we took on 39.3 kilowatt hours of energy, and 38.4 that went into the battery. This is a pretty big battery, and you know what? We got some premium electrons quickly while I had to run an errand anyway. So happy with that. The car's pretty well juiced up. We'll go home, plug into our level 2 charger, and fill the rest of the way up. So love the Rivian. I thought it was pretty good charging performance. Again, you saw we got up to that 213 kilowatt charging rate. We would have been that from the start and held that until about that point. So being plugged in beside that vehicle definitely slowed us down, but at the end of the day, it worked out. No big deal. It probably cost an extra minute or two. That's real world. That's what happens. You can't guarantee those chargers are empty. I wanted to see us hit 215 to 220 kilowatts. We saw it. They're at that peak, and I wasn't in the vehicle. And so you could imagine it would have peaked up to that, held that, and then tapered off as it did. So the charging curve would have been different. We would have saved a couple of minutes and or put in more electrons more quickly. But due to that Chevy Bolt there charging to 100%, we weren't able to do that. If those chargers would dynamically power share, we would have also been fine. But because they're direct split, anytime another car plugs in, regardless of what it's pulling, you can only get a max of around 175. In my experience, because of amperages, yada yada, voltages, I only see 150 to 170 max. So either way, hey, it worked. I'm happy with those EVgo chargers. Happy with the Rivian. Hope this video helps. Shoot me a comment, positive, negative, or otherwise. Have a great day. Until the next one. One last thing I forgot to mention in the video, the battery. There's your battery temp after charging. It was in the 120s. I didn't catch that, but it's down to 105. It's cooling it here as we ride. But that battery heats up. So the battery's sitting at 105 degrees. The HVAC system's actively cooling it down. Not for charging purposes, but just getting it out of that hot range. You see the red line there on it. I think the red line's around 130 to 135, maybe 140 degrees Fahrenheit. Anyway, battery's fine now. It's down to 105, but yeah, just interesting to see. And that honestly was a great charging session. Sorry, I know I said that was the end a couple of times, but I saw that stat, wanted to share it, and thought that might be interesting for you. Okay, take care, everyone.